Me and the boys patrolling the town looking for beans.
Start that up. Don't start that again. All right. We're there. We're here. We're there. We're every fucking where. Hey!
Roy Kent.
He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. Roy Kent.
Roy Kent.
Roy Kent. That's how we're starting that episode. What's up, people? Party people.
Fun fact, if anyone actually got that reference, I work with someone in the kitchen because, of course, everywhere that I've ever worked has too many Daniels. But one of the guys on the line, his name is Daniel Rojas. And almost every day I come in and I go, Danny Rojas.
Kitchen is life. Oh, that's too good. I love it. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick. It's Black Tower Tuesday. Or, if you're not listening to us live, it's Black Tower Friday.
Or if you're not listening to us live at all,
at a completely random time, it's Black Tower Day. Welcome to Black Tower Day. It's a good day.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I was amusing myself looking up pictures.
Yeah, you were.
Of Nico's apparently.
Andrew is solidifying his status as a total weeb.
Look, okay, there's a clear winner in the contest of American Nico versus Japanese Nico. Like, all right, there's a clear winner here.
I'm just saying.
Now the danger is you never know what you're getting with the Japanese Nikos. Like, anywhere from like 8 years old to like 800. There's no way to tell until they finally give it up for some plot reason.
And
give up their age, not give up anything else.
What equipment they're packing either.
I will also say it depends on what fight you're having. Are you saying like these are more attractive? Then sure, okay, I can see that. Who would actually win in a fight? I'm putting my money down.
You see, by appearances, I would kind of agree, but Japan is known for having like these like cutesy little like idols or whatever pull out these random like batshit crazy abilities.
It's true.
Like they literally have so many anime where like the girls just like morph into tanks and cars for no fucking reason. So it's like,
well, then they're not an Echo anymore, and then they get disqualified.
Yeah. That's fair.
Okay, welcome to the Black Tower Anime Podcast. Tonight we're discussing Nico Girls. We're doing an in-depth dive. Actually, there's a pretty good segue from Nico Girls into tonight's topic.
I'm reading that article.
So before we go any further, hi, I'm Josh. I'm your Soraban Mahale. If you need someone lightninged in the face, I'm your man.
I'm your suddenly very much targeted by slander by Jean Mahale. Andrew. Fucking slanderous.
And I am your soaking it all in and enjoying the show. I'm Jean Mahale.
I'm about to pull like a what is it, like Stan from The Office? It's hentai and it's art.
Hentai and it's art.
I see you are also a man of culture.
Oh, but we are the Mahales of the Black Tower Podcast. We like to talk about the Wheel of Time. We like to talk about all things Wheel of Time. But do you know what else we like to talk about? We like to talk about the awesome people who help support us. And I want to start off by talking about We Geek
like
Together.
The folks over at Trojan.
The geeky...
that have allowed me to save enough money from not having to raise a child to afford podcasting equipment.
All right.
Something I couldn't resist.
No, We Geek Together is the gaming tavern in Provo, Utah, where we will be hosting our Friday night meetup at the Gathering Madness. And for those of you who live locally or live in the area, you should definitely go check them out ahead of time. There's all kinds of gaming, all kinds of snacks and treats. They've got consignment bins, so there's local artists. This is, I'm telling you, it's a one-stop shop for all things gaming, geeky, nerdy, wonderful. Go there, check them out. Andrew, what else do we like talking about?
I mean, if we have 23 minutes, I can think of one topic that always needs discussing, and that's beer.
Beer.
On days like today, like Tuesdays, specifically this Tuesday, we like talking about new creations by Jen, because new creations by Jen not only has some new creations, but they are also by Jen, and they are fantastic. Like the frosty mugs.
Oh yeah.
That is so frosted over and kind of faded now that you can't really see. I did not realize it was fading. I thought you were bullshit when you said your mug was like kind of fading.
Yep, my mug is fading.
It's kind of hard to see the. Yeah,
but my mug is several years old. Like, just don't run it through the dishwasher. Probably that's probably what.
Yeah, and see, I'm like lazy and still wash ditches. I wash ditches. I'm done. I'm done speaking. I'm done right there. I still wash dishes like a bachelor, which is, just throw everything in the dishwasher and just hope for the best, which is why like my 4 Hogwarts like house mugs don't have the labels on them really anymore. There's like 5 random spots of color clinging to the outside of the glass for dear life.
The other cool thing about New Creations by Jen is they pointed out last week when Rob, the chief editor of the Weekly Wheel News, was with us. And apparently we had the link wrong on the website, but that has been since corrected. And if you go to blacktowerpod.com, the first thing you'll see is a picture of us and a Black Tower podcast. The next thing you'll see is information about the Gathering Madness, which you got until September 29th to book a room to get the rate. Don't miss out on that. I got distracted. Oh, and send us an RSVP. Like, if you book your room, like, let us know. Like, we want to give you a high five, and we want to know how many people are coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then scroll down just a little bit more, and there's our merch stores. And New Creations by Jen is right there, and you just click it, and it'll take you right to our merch on her store. And you can surf around her website. She's got other Wheel of Time content creators. It's really great. Very, very talented people there. Very, very talented.
Find all kinds of stuff. In fact, I got stickers. I need to do a lot with stickers. Oh, boys, work has been crazy. The AC went out at work, and then it's super busy. And it seems like every day I get home and I finally remember I'm supposed to mail out things. I got to get that done this week.
Yeah, you do.
And get the next stickers ordered.
Daniel, you are muted.
Yeah.
Why is it do this? That?
I don't know. I saw your mouth moving and I was like, wait a minute.
So strange.
Anyway.
If it makes you feel any better, my work does not have a broken AC, but also we are having drips from the ceiling from buildup from our AC, in the path of where we carry food. So you're
waiting for a Legionnaires outbreak.
Oh yeah.
Good time.
No, we're clearly, or what we have been told, and of course on one hand I'm like, hey, then fix it, because if it's easy-ish and it's not actually really a problem, then do the thing.
Yeah, interesting.
But they say that there's a why is this do this?
Let me disconnect and then reconnect, see if that fixes it. Unless it's changing your...
Wait, no, I can't hear.
Anyway,
was very interesting.
There we go.
I think your inputs might have changed on you because I heard your
Yeah,
audio go from
apparently.
like not good as it normally is, and then suddenly good as it normally is.
Yeah, weird. Very strange. All right, we're gonna double check settings anyway. But it's one of those things where like it's one of the large corporations where they're just like, hey, if we can not pay money to do stuff, we're gonna do that. And so they like came in and we're attached to the Hyatt, and so it's the Hyatt's AC that is the entire building. And so we don't actually technically have like jurisdiction over the AC, if you will, because it's the Hyatt's. So, like, they came in and they checked it out and they were like, well, what it probably is there's like a catch for the AC as it cools things down when it gets condensation on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just full because the AC is running constantly. And so somebody needs to go up and empty it. And you're like,
yeah. So
why are you telling us this and not just emptying the thing? Like, what? Why are you not coming downstairs and telling us, so we emptied the thing, call us if you get any more drips and we'll do it again? Like, why is it that you're telling us this to what? Schedule you to come back out and do the thing that you just told us needed? What is happening right now?
Yeah. Hopefully they cleaned the drain for it. Because like they're actually for ACs for that pan, there's supposed to be a drain that feeds out to wherever they get rid of the excess water, and those things are known for like frequently and horribly getting like clogged up with just like bits of debris over the years.
Yep.
And then for some reason they keep using like metal pans for this shit too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what goes great for holding water? Unprotected metal, just plain untreated, uncoated, plain metal. Nothing bad ever happens there.
It's the best choice.
Yep. So we're gonna put that in an area that you never look at because it's gonna be a pan in your attic space. So that whenever it does rust out, you don't notice until you have like black mold growing for the last 4 years and your ceiling starts to sag.
And then you have Legionnaires.
Yeah.
So before we get into tonight's topic, people do kind of need to be spoiler warned, right?
Definitely,
because there's some pretty spoiler-tastic things.
Oh, there's a bunch of spoiler-tastic stuff that's gonna get into this. Now, granted, the very first 5 minutes that we talk, I'm gonna take a guess that we're not gonna get super spoilery, but after that, all bets are off, and it's gonna go all the way to the end.
Well, then with that said, let's step out of the way and let Malkier talk.
Welcome to the Black Tower. This is your spoiler condom. If you have not read the complete works of Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, books 1 to 14, and also New Spring, Big Bad Book of White Art, and The Companion, you are at risk of being spoiled.
And
Spoilers
Origins of the Wheel of Time.
Effects. These side effects may include headache, nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal or penile eruptions and ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool, darkened souls, more vomiting, arthritis, hemorrhoids or diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism or werewolfism, gender inequality for the whole planet, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar highs, even more vomiting, or maybe just a mild rash. If you cannot deal with these side effects, please leave now, for fear of spoilers. You have been warned.
Oh, Rob, you, sir, are a treasure.
A true voice
Indeed.
of Malkir.
True voice of Malkir. So, we were talking earlier about Nico girls. And they are an unholy, or maybe a holy, depending on your perspective.
I mean, if you've watched anime, there's definitely holes.
Combination of a human and a kitty cat, and they give you mixed feelings about your sexual orientation sometimes.
I think Josh is really just speaking a monologue at this moment.
I'm waiting for Daniel to be like, "This man does not speak for the Black Tower. His opinions are his own."
To be fair, like
I feel like I
anime
just
does
did,
that
just not in
regularly
those
anyway.
words.
Yeah,
And
anime does
I
that
go,
regularly anyway. Like makes you question things. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a very cute character. Like, oh no, that's not a she, that's a he. And if you're not
Oops.
into that, then you're just like, well,
then you're
I've been
surprised.
Well, at the same time, to be fair to anybody who is that way, they do things all the time to go ahead and mess with the gender or the genderization of certain characters. And so if you're looking at a character that looks and acts by all intents one way, and you're like, oh, well, that's cool, I like those things, and then it just tells you that they're the other one, okay, that's fine. That doesn't really mean that you are like need to rethink your thing, because all of the things that you like are the things where they're like, gotcha, and you're like, not really though. Like, what?
I mean, one thing you can say, you know, Japan has been teaching us not to assume gender since the sun rose for the 3rd time in a day.
That is true, yeah.
But
I'm gonna get
a man
for that one.
who is extremely into the meshing of genetics, and no, I'm not talking about the life sewing alchemist, though he was a student of this man. And no, I'm not talking
about Elon Musk.
Not talking about
the one
Elon
who likes
Musk,
to get his DNA.
who also
he supported
promised
the Nico
to engineer
rebellion,
cat
so.
girls. And where are our cat girls, Elon? You lying sack of shit.
They're coming. They're coming. It's just X needs to get off the ground first.
Oh, right. Got it.
That was what the brain implants were for music and visual hallucinations.
It's like a virtual, like, augmented reality. You could just be like, bloop, bloop, bloop. Now everyone's a cat person.
Right. That's an episode of Black Mirror.
Tonight we're talking about the other guy who likes to combine DNA, but in a terrifying way, and I would say not sexy way. There are plenty of people who would disagree with that statement. We're talking about AGINOR. We're talking about the mad scientist, life-sewing Elon Musk motherfucking Forsaken. That's what we're talking about. That's
I'm
what
not sure
about.
which side, but somebody's
everything
getting
about
far
this
more
intro
credit
right
than they
now.
deserve in this transaction.
It's an AGINOR deep dive. AGINOR deep dive. Now I know what you guys are saying. I know what you guys are thinking right now. You're thinking
which side is getting too much credit.
AGINOR went out like a little bitch in book 1. Why would we care about him? Well, while he did die at the end of book 1, I would say that going down to a green man and taking him with you is hardly
Green Man.
going out like a bitch.
He didn't go down.
Oh no, that was Balthazar.
That was Balthazar.
No, he
loses to Rand,
which is worse. Okay, no, he went out like a
Dragon
bitch.
Reborn.
He went out like a bitch.
I don't agree with that statement. Now, it's also true. He does underestimate Rand 100%, but also Rand is America in that situation. How do you fight the sheep herder from the Two Rivers who has no idea what he's doing? How do you strategize against someone who's not strategizing against you in any way, shape, or form, and is just like, That's a mighty fine cord you got leading behind you. What are you talking about? What cord? I don't know what are you talking about?
Aginor's like, I have all the power. You can't defeat me. And Rand just goes like, are you sure about that there, fella?
You sure about that? So no, Aginor, but
no, that would have been the Sean Chan.
Right.
You sure about that?
You sure about that, boy?
You mess with the Sean Chan, you get the collar.
Yeah.
You get the double horns.
No, Aginor, most of his accomplishments, I would argue, most of his accomplishments happened during the Age of Legends, when he originally sort of rose to prominence, right?
This episode is already so off the rails. I don't know what we're going to do, guys.
Where's our cancellation counter? How many things have we said tonight that can get us canceled? 47?
Ding!
No. 4.
He was, I call him the mad scientist because he's absolutely one of those people who, he kind of goes crazy. Like, he starts creating
he goes mad
shadowspawn.
With power.
Of course I went mad with power. You ever gone mad without power? It's terrible. Nobody listens to you.
He was blinded by science.
Yep, that is correct.
But you know, so most notably, he made the Shadowspawn, right? He's the one who created Trollocs, and not only did he create Trollocs, but he created them with the ability to self-propagate. Like, terrifying creation. He created Murdral. He created.
Well, I mean, I want to throw out here. This is one of the most interesting parts of Aginor that I actually think is really cool on some levels. Okay, he is a mad scientist, and right. I'm actually wearing my very appropriate scientist's which one shirt for this, and the one in the middle that's just for you to pick. That's Aginor right there. Congratulations.
Dig
there
it.
You go.
I dig it.
And so he is terrifying. He absolutely is a mad genius who works with absolutely no code of ethics and is willing to do whatever the fuck he wants with no issues, if you will. But it's also interesting that one of the cooler things I think about Aginor is that he goes into the project with a goal. He does. And he effectively finishes that goal. And in finishing that goal, he also discovers 3 other things that are unexplained occurrences that happen when he's going ahead and making his goal. That he just goes, nah, I'm not going to actually figure out what I did. I'm not actually going to go ahead and destroy these creations because they're cool. I'm just going to let these run wild because they're also my children. Because I'm not cool. And you're like, Aginor, no, but also Aginor, yes. Like, you're doing your job really well. Like, you are Chris Pratt. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really well.
Well, he doesn't care about the result of his creations, other than in one area.
Does it work?
How destructive is it? Is it destructive? Yeah. Does it have a capability for destruction? Yes. Cool. Success. Moving on. And people are like, bro, Golem, what the hell, dude? And he's like, well, you wanted me to take out channelers? Yeah, we wanted you to take out their channelers. And he's like, just don't get near him.
Hey. How many more of their channelers is it taken out?
I just take out the channelers. I don't get involved in the politics. All right. I'm here to chew bubblegum and kill channelers, and I'm all out of bubblegum. All right.
He created the Jumara for no reason other than just to see how horrifyingly fucked up he could make something. Like, that was it. He had one goal in mind. What's the worst thing I can create? Jumara. Cool. Awesome. Love it. Beautiful. Brilliant.
Well, we like numbers. So during the War of Power, when he was doing the bulk of his experimenting, it is estimated by the unreliable historical narrative that between 35 and 50 million, with an M, people died as a direct result of his experiments, to a tune of an average rate of 10,000 people per day.
I think
That's
the
I don't.
only person that beats him is Chairman Mao.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think that's the only just to
No,
give well
no.
no just to give you like perspective like
He's
seriously
on the
Would be
same level because Chairman
Stalin, I
Mao's
think.
responsible for the death of like what 30 to is it 30 to 50 or is it like 80 million?
something I can't remember but I think
Here's the weirdest thing I thought I would look up
like
tonight. How
Stalin and
many
Hitler were like
people
10 to 20
did
million. Pol
how
Pot
many people did Chairman Mao
7
kill?
7
40
to
to
10.
80 million. Okay. So yeah, no, Chairman Mao was still worse than AGINOR. I mean,
It's
there is
just
a
kind of
little
crazy.
overlap there, like where they could be just as bad.
Right.
But I would say it was like it of the things they were doing, and not to give any excuse or rationale to it at all, to be abundantly clear, in
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way, shape, or form, is Agenor justified in what he did, or is Chairman Mao? Okay? With that
Well,
disclaimer out
also,
there, Chairman Mao was just fucking murking people to murk people.
Right.
Agenor was creating horrendous abominations to fight for the side he wanted to win just because they let him play DNA splicer with all of life and creation.
DNA.
yes. Well, and I will definitely say again, let me also be very, very, very clear in this moment.
Run around putting fucking
No
Patara earrings on
one
everything.
should be killing anyone to a certain extent. Stop it. Get some help. But at the same time, if you are
I did
in
it. Now
a
comes the 9
war
millimeter.
situation, like again, we think that the side of the Dark One is in the wrong. But at the same time, Aginor didn't.
True.
Aginor doesn't.
True.
He was on the side that he thought was right, and he was doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing in war if you think that you are on the right side of the war. Now again, no, because no, and we have lots of good reasons to be like Aginor, no, but also again, it's sort of that idea of, is he horrendous or is he effective?
I'm gonna say
And the
he's
answer is
horrendous.
to a certain amount of both, obviously. But at the same time, I mean, in his eyes, I'm sure he would say he was effective. We would say he was horrendous.
I mean, I would say he
Rain
is
a little
effective.
bit.
Correct. What's that?
That's Rain.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, damn.
I would say he's effective, but the thing is, the reason he turned to the shadow is not he didn't have any like altruistic motives. He it's not that he suffered some injustice. He probably would think it was some injustice, but what like he was experimenting with no sort of ethics, no sort of boundaries, no sort of care for collateral damage. If he experimented on a person and that person died as a result of the experiment, he didn't care. If he experimented on a person and that person suffered debilitating consequences for the rest of their life, he didn't care. He might not even care
VA,
enough
okay.
to kill them to ease their suffering, which also sounds horrible, but
Yeah, but
anyway.
yeah, we know what you're talking about.
So,
but
crazy
before-
random idea. Now that you said that, because he wouldn't even kill them. What if the Wolf Brothers exist not because the creator willed it to be so, but because it's the leftover remnants of experiments that Aginor just let keep running around?
It's entirely possible.
Ooh.
Some weird,
Well,
like
and
trying to merge people with wolves.
So
Ooh.
let me be very, very clear about something that Josh just
Welcome to the
said.
Black Tower podcast, where I keep trying to flip the creations of the light to the creations of the dark, and vice versa.
Right? Basically. No, but I actually really like that idea. Like, again, how many unintended consequences, good or bad? Because that actually goes really well into what I was about to say.
Yes.
For the entirety of human existence, to a certain extent, people have been experimenting on other things. Does this rock break when I hit it against this other rock? Which one's harder? Can I make a tool out of this? Can I do whatever? And quite a number of
Can I put my tool in this?
I mean, yeah, well, that's unfortunately way too many discoveries and whatnot. But many of the things that we have that have actually made modern society better in a multitude of different ways were either accidental because they were trying to find something else, or they were trying to do something similar, ended up doing something slightly different, and realized that the slightly different that they discovered was actually better than what they were trying to do in the first place.
Correct.
For a handful of reasons. Or at the very least, it was more effective because what they were actually trying to do had too many negative side effects, that this is like a close second with less bad side effects and things like that. And so on some level, I'm going to disagree with Josh to a certain extent here. Because yes, I want scientists to apply ethics to things. I want scientists to actually have a code that slows them down just a little bit, yes, which is not great, but also makes AGINOR not happen. That being said, I would say that the AGINOR that was sort of in the Age of Legends, Ishar Morad Shuain.
Shuain a scientist?
Hey-o.
I don't think that he was necessarily all bad. I think that he was actually pushed into the shadow by other people saying, hey, you're awful. You can't do that. Right? And I am sure that he was looking at some of his creations that had actually benefited humanity and the side of the light and gone, what about all of these things? You are okay with all of these things. Do you understand what went into the experimentation and all of this for all of these amazing things that I've discovered? And they said, oh, well, you lack empathy. Well, you lack a code of honor. Well, you lack a code of ethics. So, all of the things that you've discovered are suspect. Again, I'm not trying to say that the answer is kind of yes. They are all suspect, but that doesn't mean they're all bad. And so when you're standing there saying, well, why were you experimenting on penicillin? That's poisonous. Yeah, until it's made into antibiotics. Like, again, it's one of those situations where it's not as cut and dry. And again, once AGINOR joins the side of the shadow and starts experimenting on trying to kill the most number of people in the most effective way, in the most speed, or at the highest speed, he is completely gone and absolutely unforgivable to anyone who sides with the light, has empathy, has any code of ethics, anything like that. 100%, I am not arguing with that at all. But at the same time, I am saying that AGINOR is one of the ones where I don't agree with his fall, but I kind of agree with why it happens. Like, again, Lanfear, I don't agree with her fall, but I understand why it happens. Samael, Demandred, and Ravine, I don't even really understand or agree with why they fell. Just being not as cool as Luz Theron and being jealous, go fuck yourself. But like AGINOR and Lanfear and a couple of others, like, I understand them, and I'm not super mad at it, even though I go, yeah, but you turned the knob up to 11, and now there's a problem. Like, yeah. Fuck you.
Well, he reminds me of, like, the Jurassic Park scientists that are, like, so consumed with if you could, never stop to consider, like, if you would. I mean, that's it, because, I mean, they found out that he was doing, like, unethical and unauthorized experiments. And we're like, yeah, no, dude, you can't do this. So he got, like, he didn't even get punished that bad, it seems. He was sanctioned and told, don't do it anymore. Which, like, makes me wonder, and kind of like afraid of just how much, even though it was like unauthorized, what did he learn that they thought was of significant enough scientific value to where it warranted not completely doing anything that bad. I mean, the U.S. and Russia were super guilty of this, like in the last days of World War II, of bringing in German and Japanese scientists that were doing horrendous experiments, but they placed a higher value on their knowledge and scientific insights than they did on their humanity and ethics. So there. I don't know what the ratio is. I had a feeling that in like the 1944 era, the bar was really fucking low, and hopefully it's a lot higher now of scientific discovery to human atrocities comparison there. But Aginor was
to
apparently
be
just like
fair,
killing it.
I
He was
will
like,
also
you know how
say
hard you got to work to be a famous biologist. Like, not to throw shade at biologists, but you know, if you
No,
go to
that's
somebody
not
and say
the
like, who are your top 5 favorite like public figures? They're gonna be, or people that, you know, just whatever famous people. It's probably gonna be like athletes and actors and actresses and like maybe some politicians. Though your top 5 should never be a politician, not even your top 50, in my opinion. But
There we go. I
like,
appreciate
you
that.
gotta do.
Disclaimer.
I mean,
I'm not saying they are in mine. I'm just saying.
yeah.
I
I only
appreciate
said that
it.
because I don't want people to feel too bad when they sit there and look at their top 10 favorite people and like 6 of them are politicians. A little bit of shade, but
Mhm.
like, you got to do something pretty incredible as like a very specific branch of scientific study to become famous. Like Oppenheimer, it's like the big example right now because a whole generation just learned who Oppenheimer was because they finally made a movie about the guy again.
They finally learned who really
Well-
said, "And now I am become death."
Well, they also discovered what Will Ferrell has become because of Barbieheimer. So there's that.
I don't even count that. But with all that, like these are physicists. Like when you think about these people that work in like the scientific industry, there still is like that whole like it is super nerdy, like in the best of contexts, is because it's incredibly important, and we crumble without science. So you should probably, like, I don't know, fucking pay attention to it. But
Yep.
still, like, even these guys, like, whenever they were at the height of their discovery, nobody was sitting there walking around, sitting at the table in like in like 1942, 1944, going, you know, I'm really excited about what that Oppenheimer fella is doing. You know, did you see the article about how they learned how to like split an atom? Like, no, because that was like a DoD project, so it was like super secret. But
Right.
like, you know, now it's like name a famous like scientist like now,
Like currently,
like currently. And I am ashamed
Neil
to say,
deGrasse
like,
Tyson.
I can't. Okay, I stand corrected.
No, there's Brian. I can't remember his last name.
I don't know why I didn't think about an astrophysicist that is fucking hilarious and smart as shit. And has the
I
best
can't
memeable
stand
clip
the
ever
guy,
of,
but also
yeah. And I'm just relieved people were like, Bill Nye. And I'm like, it's a scientist, not entertainer.
Yeah.
One of the
No,
best
your
theme
point.
songs
Your
ever
point
exist,
stands
though,
though.
credit.
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox. Thank you. No,
That was the one that you were looking.
yeah.
at. But yeah.
But it's
Your
hard. If
point
somebody's like,
stands though. There's
like,
there's
tell me like a musical artist, you can like rattle them off, and they don't even have to be
Yeah.
good. And you just rattle
Sure.
them off, and people know them. Like, everybody knows like Nick Cannon's music. It's not good. But everybody knows it.
I mean, doesn't matter if it's good or not. Like we've
Yeah.
glorified musicians to the point where shit, we know them all. Some of them we know them because they're terrible. Like that's
Cardi B.
just how the industry is. But
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj.
but I feel like
Literally getting famous from from internet beef
yeah.
to making trash music that people are like, oh my god, this is so good, and you're like, I don't
Is
know if I
it?
can be friends with you anymore.
Is it?
But
But
hey, at least Melly Mel is famous again for that incredible
Yeah, yeah.
response to Eminem diss track that he did. That definitely is fantastic and not completely laugh worthy. If you haven't heard it, oh my god, it's so
is it?
bad.
Is it?
It's
You're
so
gonna have to send
bad.
it to
It's
me.
so it's a minute and 21 seconds, and like 10 of those are him counting from 1 to 8. No bar. He's got like one bar in there where he calls him like Pill Clinton and Pill Gates, which is still like it's only a bar by comparison to the rest of the song,
Fun
because the
story.
whole like picking on like making fun of Eminem for his like previous pill addiction is so played out. It's like the only thing you can make fun of the guy for.
It's true.
Anyway,
So your point stands though. The fact that he was a famous biologist, like I don't. It doesn't really talk about the good sort of
yeah.
projects and research that he did. Obviously, the Victor writes history, and when the War of Power was over, he declared himself to the Shadow during the War of Power after he was told he had to stop his horrible experiments. After he turned to the Shadow, all we get now is a history of all of the horrible creations he concocted. I always feel like the Harry Potter, Ollivander from the Wand Shop, where he's talking about Voldemort's wand and Voldemort. He did
The atrocities
great things,
chosen, Mr. Potter.
terrible, but great,
But great.
things. And that's what
Mhm.
Aginor did. Aginor did terrible things, but truly great things. I would say he is easily in the top 3 of the most effective of the Forsaken. Easily.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Even with his quick death. Because even after his death, he gets a second shot. He gets to come back.
Mhm.
Well, and this is one of those things where, like, I feel like we don't get enough detail as far as the rest of what he does, because we know that he comes back as Corlin Deshiva.
Osengar.
And Deshiva is around for a lot of things that Rand is doing, but it doesn't seem like he actually interferes very much on page. However, how much influence does Deshiva go ahead and put into the Black Tower? Is it just... Is Osengar, or is, whatever, one of the people who actually comes to Mazrim Taim and promises him things to fuck up the Black Tower for the Shadow? I mean, most people would say that it was Demandred, I believe, who originally goes to him and makes the deal. But again, we never see that happen on page. Is that actually guaranteed? No. There is a literal sort of Black Aja member, like Forsaken member, Black Gar, whatever you want to call it, in the Black Tower. Basically, on some levels supporting Mazrim Taim.
Well, even more interesting is the fact that after Demise Wells, Rand chooses him to be a personal bodyguard.
Yeah.
And now, granted, at this point in time, he's been given the instruction that Rand is not to be killed.
Correct.
So, Rand literally has a Forsaken serving as a bodyguard. And oh God, he does his job so well. You almost, it's so easy to forget that Deshiva is Aginor. Like, it's so easy to forget that because he serves as Rand's bodyguard and does a damn good job with it. He's the one who brings Dahmer Flynn to heal Rand at one point in time and starts saying, hey, you're pretty good at that. You should keep that up. Like, he's got knowledge and context of the Age of Legends, and he's using that knowledge and context to strengthen the Black Tower and serve as Rand's bodyguard. Now, those things are sort of opposed because a strong Black Tower is a bad thing unless Taim can convert it to the Shadow, which he's actively doing. So if Deshiva can give more knowledge to the Black Tower and strengthen them only to flip them at the last second, it serves all interests. So,
well, also, I love that moment that you just brought up, which is the idea of Deshiva, Osengar, AGINOR, looking at someone who is doing healing things that they may have not even really had in the Age of Legend.
Oh, yeah.
As a scientist standing there looking at this person doing things with channeling, being like, damn, son.
Yeah, boy.
That's some cool thing. Though, like, those are some cool things. And so, like, again, it's really sort of the cool idea of, like, real recognize real. And it's, of course, like, a Forsaken recognizing the scientist in, you know, somebody else.
Well,
Or discoveries that somebody's making. But he's also standing there being like, my whole thing here to turn to the shadow was because I didn't like that people weren't allowed to experiment in ways that they thought were good and beneficial in some way. I don't know whether he's, you know, actually good or actually beneficial is his goal, but like in some way beneficial to someone.
his focus.
And here are all these people in the Third Age, like Nynaeve and Dahmer Flynn and you know, Elaine discovering things about Terangrial and whatnot, doing things that, like, some of them were around in the Age of Legends, but I don't know if, you know, Ishar Morad would have known about them necessarily. And other things that they didn't even do in the Age of Legends. And he's like, oh shit, this stuff's cool. I might hang around a little while and figure out what they're doing here. Because he's a man of science.
Well, and
he's a horrifying man of science, but he's still a man of science.
Ultimately, he changes to the shadow to continue his scientific pursuits. He doesn't have, and I think this is the point you were getting to earlier, is it's not that he wants to kill everything, but he wants to understand the boundaries of destruction, the boundaries of disease, the boundaries of, you know, how fucked up can I make this thing and still have it being a functioning life form? Like, it's still twisted. He's still not a good guy. But it is also kind of... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think part of the reason why he plays off to Shiva so well is because he doesn't want to be on the front lines. He doesn't want to be anywhere near the front lines. That's why he creates Trollocs and Murdraw.
Yep.
He creates numerous soldiers for the Dark One in an attempt to sit there, one, to see if he can, but it has the byproduct effect, too, of giving the Dark One forces to use that he gets the credit for, so that he then can still hang back and continue experimenting without having to go out in the field. Which is why his cover as the Shiva is so incredibly important post, like, resurrection, because he doesn't have combat experience.
Right.
Part of the reason why he was so ineffective against Rand, the only other person in the world that you would think would be more ineffective than AGINOR. You know, other than the whole Taviran thing that AGINOR didn't have.
Sure.
Because AGINOR does not have combat experience. He has,
you
like...
know,
he's not gonna, like, he's not the kind of person that's gonna have, like, combat weaves. He's not gonna have combat training. He's not gonna have all this kind of stuff. In any way, at least comparably to the rest of the Forsaken and any of the other, like, I would, and I hate to say it, because I have such an issue with the Green Aja sitting on their ass doing nothing when they could be out training. He has less combat experience than the Green Aja. Like, and so, yeah, you're going to want to hide yourself. But I think another part, I don't think... We know that the madness wasn't necessarily fake for him, that he wasn't just, like, putting on madness, because whenever he and Balthamel were sealed for 3,000 years, they had nightmares for 3,000 years. Imagine having just horrendous nightmares for 3,000 years that you can't escape. You're going to be kind of fucked in the head.
Yeah,
yes.
That's going to do things.
Which also makes me terrified. What fucking new ideas did he have for creatures after his rebirth? And he's just trying to do a good job so that he can get back to, you know, splicing some DNA.
Well, it's also interesting because this is one of the things that I've always thought about AGINOR is how evil is he?
Very.
In terms of sort of thinking about it. Like, because again, I don't want to give him credit, if you will, because when it comes right down to it, he does really horrendous things. And I don't want to gloss over that by any stretch of the imagination. And I certainly don't want to, give anybody ideas in this timeline of, well, at least Daniel from the Black Tower will think you're not a horrible person if you just, blah, blah, blah. No, absolutely. The things that he ends up doing are pretty awful. But again, why does he join the Shadow? What is he doing? What is his actual goal? We don't 100% know the entire time because, of course, we don't really get that much information about who he was in the Age of Legends and how he got in trouble and why he turned and things like that. But at the same time, if you are turning yourself over to the Shadow and the Dark One is sort of like breaking free of his prison and he has more ability to touch the world, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go over there for research purposes, and then the Dark One basically says, all right, cool, you're going to build me an army, and if you don't, I hurt or kill you. You're going to do a pretty effective job at building somebody an army so you don't fucking die. I mean, now when there's an imperfect seal on that thing's prison, and you get a chance to get out, and you get more rope, and you're not sitting in Shayol Ghul, building an army? What kind of things are you going to do when your life isn't immediately in danger, and you're not right next to that horrifying entity that has the ability to end your life immediately? And so I think a lot of what Dashiva is doing running around, or what Osengar is doing running around as Dashiva, is sort of that idea of, well, let's see what these Third Age channelers are up to. Let's see what's going on. Let's, be close to Rand to both, protect myself and also see what this whole Dragon Reborn thing is about. Like, blah, 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 all of these different things. And I don't think that the Shiva is standing there being like, yes, where can I do the most damage to the forces of the light in the best places? Absolutely, blah, blah, blah. He's standing there being like, okay, I'm a scientist. Where are all of the choke points? Where is all of the information that I can get to make the best decision about where to be at any given time? And he's running around in a lot of places, gathering information, doing this here to help himself, doing that there to help the Dark One, not getting himself in trouble with the Shadow, but also not really doing anything to hurt the Shadow, but also not really doing much to hurt the light. Like, he's really kind of a wet blanket when it comes to actually being, like, nefarious and evil. And I think part of that is that I don't think that Osengar at this point is 100% committed to his original turning anymore, if that makes sense. That's sort of what I'm trying to get out of this.
I think he has some variation of, I don't know, like something like alexithymia or whatever, which is just like issues feeling emotions. Because very often the things that are done that are unethical are so horrendous and seen as such by people not committing them because they go through that moral, ethical, and emotional lens. So when you look at like the horrible experiments done on people from like World War II, it's very easy for us to label it as evil, and I'm not saying it isn't. It definitely is horrendous. But I think in Arengar's example, that a lot of this stuff where he's just pursuing scientific discovery, it's not all about like I don't think he's registering any of it as bad. Like Aginor's not out there creating the shadowspawn to be evil. He's creating them because he needs something to fulfill a purpose, and he needs whatever he creates to listen. Okay, I made this thing. I need something. Yeah, because his entire purpose was to build shock troopers for the Shadow. He's like, okay, well now I need something to control these because in big enough numbers they're a problem. So it's problem solution, and whereas most people have a filter over what they are willing to do to find the solution, Aginor I think simply doesn't. So I think he is evil by association, the side he is associated with. I don't think Agnor in and of himself is good or evil. He does
I
horrendous
agree with
things,
that.
but I think it's more likely that he's just that he hit the only thing he really cares about is scientific discovery and progress. Can I do this
Mm-hmm.
thing? Can I make it happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we do finally see him do things that directly aid the shadow, generally every time he does it, it's to help protect his position and his access to what he has. It
Yes.
aids him in some way that allows him to either like remain hidden so he doesn't have to fully fight, or to remain in the good graces of some other chosen. Because what other chosen do we ever come across? Well, no, a few of them do talk about it openly, or not really openly, but in their inner monologues. Like he talks about being like terrified of Ishmael and being like
Mm-hmm.
subservient to Damondred, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem to bother him. Like he doesn't really seem to have that lust or quest for power's sake. It's just I
Mm-hmm.
want to discover shit.
So,
Yeah.
I think I would disagree a little bit with that. I feel like
Okay.
you're saying that Aginor is not evil in the same way that Darth Vader is not evil. It, if I understand correctly what you're saying,
Mm,
because Vader was
I
just
would
trying
like
to
you to
protect his
expound on
wife.
that.
Vader was Anakin just wanted to protect his wife. He just wanted his wife to survive. And the Jedi betrayed him. They lied to him. They are the ones in the wrong. Oh my God, I have been lied and betrayed my entire life by this group of people, and now they're willing to let the only thing I love in the world die, and I'm not okay with that.
Well,
And when
so
I
the difference
confront them
there,
about it, they double down and they tell me, you're in the wrong and you need to sit down and shut up. And he goes, this isn't right. The one person who's been my friend and confidant my entire life is about to die, and he's the one person that can save the woman that I love. Now, Vader did horrible things, but he did them because he thought he was doing the right thing.
so
see, the thing is, like
I'm
he started doing what he was doing because one, he was being absolutely manipulated and misled
I would
by
agree.
Sidious.
I would agree.
Agenor was never misled. That we
But
can see. He was
we're
never
talking about
misled.
motivations,
And
though.
well,
We're
and
talking
he
about
also never
motivations.
argues that he's doing the right thing.
But we're talking about
Like,
motivations.
well, so
My
again,
point being,
even then, like what I'm saying, I'm not saying that like he thinks what he's doing is noble. I don't think it's either. I don't think he
no, I
thinks that
know.
anything he's doing is good or bad. That he's just doing it. That the only thing his motivation is the acquiring of scientific knowledge for
Sure.
knowledge's sake. It is curiosity and interest. Whereas like Vader has a motivation, whether he thinks he's doing the right thing or he knows he's doing the wrong thing, because there's absolutely a point after Padme is dead where he is no longer I'm trying to protect Padme. He's just like, well, I've dug my fucking hole. I got to live with it. So I'm
Right.
going to keep doing what I got to do with it. Because maybe I'll figure out a way to resurrect her or something at best in the future.
So
yeah.
maybe it's not a perfect parallel. But my point being,
well, that was actually one of the things that I was going to say. Is that's one of the biggest problems about Vader is that Vader actually doesn't do the vast majority of his atrocities right at the beginning when he sort of is trying to do what he can and blah blah blah. Vader absolutely knows at some point relatively early on that he has been lied to and manipulated, and he feels like he is too far down that road to come back.
sure,
Until his son shows up and says, I know that you can still be good, blah, 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 all of this stuff. Because he just feels like he's too far down. He's too far gone. Aginor never feels
has
that.
no
He's
such
always
misgivings.
standing
Right.
there going, I've never been manipulated. I've never done whatever. Well, maybe not never. Because I suggested that maybe he was being somewhat sort of manipulated by being held hostage-ish. But like I said, again, it's just sort of the idea of good or bad, my science is important. I want to do it. This is what I'm doing. Which I think is a motivation that is not necessarily evil. I think that is... It can absolutely have evil effects. you can end up doing things that present as evil, but I don't necessarily think that the motivation itself.
Sure.
I like that. I'm not
Is one
evil.
way or the
I just present that way.
No, but that's exactly the point that I'm getting to, though. Vader thinks he's doing the right thing. He's not. He's committing atrocities.
Mm-hmm.
No, but at some
Aginor's
point,
like,
he knows that he's not doing the right thing, and he does it anyway. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At some point,
Maybe towards the
relatively early
end.
on, he knows that Emperor Palpatine has absolutely manipulated
Towards
him.
the end, yes.
Padme is gone. The Jedi are gone. He loses a lot of friends. He realizes that Obi-Wan was right.
Towards the
And
end,
then-
yes.
He continues to do atrocities,
Right.
knowing
Towards the
that
end,
he's just too far gone.
absolutely. You are correct. Towards the end, he knows that he's not in the right. But in the beginning, before he has that moment of clarity, he genuinely feels like he's doing the right thing. That's neither here nor there. The
For
point
me, that's
being,
the biggest difference.
Yeah,
Is my
that's
argument
what-
is that Aginor
that
he
it
doesn't
is
have
here
that
or there.
concept of right and
but
wrong.
that doesn't make Aginor not